Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
Hi everyone, this is Patty Conklin and Healing Within. Thank you so much for joining me, and I've got a wonderful guest for you today that I just can't wait to share all of her wonderful information and all of her knowledge, and just a very special person. I've known her now for close to 25 years, and she has made a name of herself for herself in numerology. And so I'd like to welcome Felicia Bender to the show. Hi there.
Hello. Yes, it has been 25 years. Isn't that amazing?
That's pretty amazing. Way back in, let me get it right, Columbia, Missouri.
Indeed.
It was. Wow.
And I did want to say also, just very briefly, truly how instrumental you were and have been and continue to be in my growth in that way. You found me, or I found you, at a very pivotal time in my life, and so thank you for that.
You are so welcome. You're so sweet. I appreciate that so much. So tell me what you've been up to for the last 25 years.
Oh my gosh. Well, we won't, we can't even go there. That would be a dinner. That would be an evening.
Different show, huh?
Wow. Yeah. So many lifetimes in one life, right, Patty?
Yeah.
I know that you and probably many of your listeners can relate with that. For 25 years, I've moved to Colorado. I'm getting ready for another move. I've developed my work with numerology and with other things. So I love this practice, and I love being able to share it, with you and with your audiences. I love how it's a beautiful tool that all of us can use for what you're talking about, for these new beginnings, for living your best life.
Yeah. One of the things we were on years ago, I can't remember if we did a webinar or we did a radio show. I remember it was listened to a lot. We had many downloads on that. And I think it was just when the boys, the grandsons, were being born. And I was counting their life path or whatever, and I was doing it all wrong. And you needed to correct me. And I think they were fives. And you were generous enough to send me a numerology report, which Sandra immediately went over and started dissecting, going, this is so you, this is so you, this is so you. And I'm like, is there anything in there not? And she's like, I'll let you read it and find out. But I think the boys ended up, I had them as something else, and they were 5s, and I'm a 5 and something or other. But honestly, let's go back to the beginning of numerology, because I don't understand it well in terms of what it does and how is it so accurate and how you actually do it. But how did you find numerology? Let's start with that.
Well, the interesting thing, Patty, is that numerology actually found me, and I don't say that flippantly, because it really is a cosmic joke that I do this, because I hate math more than anything on the planet. It has always been my most anxiety-producing subject. So any of you out there who see this is about numerology and you're cringing because you're like, ugh, I can't stand numbers and math, I'm in the boat with you, so stick with it, because basically it's a language rather than math, right? Yeah. And yet, it found me when I met with you, Patty, learning all about energy, all about that. I did some energy-based work with clients, and yet there was something kind of always missing for me in my intuitive languaging, how I could get this information and how I could express it. And so I found numerology way into the game, and it was at a bookstore. A book kind of flew out the shelf, and I was looking for something for my daughter who was trying to figure out a major in college. And, just to cut to it, I would not have picked this book up if it were just numerology, and yet it had some numerology in it. And suddenly, Patty, it was like, oh my gosh, all you need is this calculation, and it has so much depth of information. And just like you, I don't know how it works. I mean, numerology, it's basically the type I use comes from Pythagoras. So anyone who was paying attention to math class with the Pythagorean theorem of geometry. I was not paying attention in math class.
Not at that time, huh?
Not at that time. And yet it's the same person. There are a lot of different numerologies, and yet the type I use comes from Pythagoras. Basically, it's the idea that numbers carry with them a vibration. And this is right up your alley, right? Color, everything else is vibratory. Even Einstein says everything is energy, right?
Right.
And so it really is all about this idea that numbers carry with them code. They are frequency, they are vibration, they carry data. So it has influence and meaning whenever and wherever it shows up. And so we can kind of understand it a little bit more in our technological age, because everything that we do now is virtual and out there. I mean, what is the cloud anyway? Really?
Right. Sure.
Where is it? How does it hold all that data? And same thing, gravity, cell phone reception, or it's even kind of like Morse code. You can walk into a room and hear those dots and dashes. You don't know Morse code. It's just static. If you walk in and Morse code, the information that's being conveyed. So it's the same thing with numerology. Again, I don't know exactly how it works. All I know is it is an incredibly accurate tool. And so I'm like, okay, this is awesome. It is something that we can look at a person's to get your numbers. You have a full numerology chart, and we use your full name as it's given at birth on your birth certificate. And then we use your date of birth. And then we can arrive to basically a blueprint of what you checked in here to do in this lifetime, and cycles of time, that sort of thing. So again, I'm not really answering your question about how the magic, how the magic happens, and yet it's something also that you can refer back to over and over again. Open the book, and that's what I love about it.
One of the things that, as I was glancing through it this morning, that occurred to me, and it's one of the things that I always have a little bit of a push for when people are born with a specific name and they change their name, not through marriage, but let's say they decide to change their first name and so forth. I've always believed that the name that you're born with is the name that the soul chose and just kind of stuck it in your parents' head, whatever. But you're born with the vibration relating to your name. And when you change your name, you're changing the vibration of your life. And it's not always in sync, because the soul is here to do a specific task that is related to the vibration that you came in with. So how does that work? And I know that in what I was reading this morning, it's like you've taken the name that I have now, Conklin, which I've had for, good grief, close to 40 years. And I'm going back to Vandermark at some point, because I've kept Conklin because that was my career name, and I'll go back to Vandermark. So there was something in there about the fact that you can use the current name if you've had it for more than 5 years. But how do you feel that happens because a lot of the stuff I was reading, I wasn't able to get through the whole report this morning, but a lot of the stuff that I was reading was very, very straight on, very point on for me. Even though you were using the last name of Conklin versus Vandermark, which is my birth name. How do those frequencies kind of line up? Does it really matter whether someone changes their name or not? Like a 5-year-old, my niece was born with a specific name, and her mother decided she wanted to change it. So before she was a year old, she changed it to another name. Does it affect the numerology? Does it affect their life path? That was a long way of saying that, but does it shift when we're switching our names, and therefore the numerology is changing?
Absolutely. And it's really different. Of course, different numerologists have different takes on this. This is my personal take, that exactly what you're saying, Patty. I believe that we check in with our name for a reason. And that in the numerology I do, if you go back and look at your chart, the name we did use for you was Vandermark. We used your full birth name.
Got it.
And then we talk a little bit about what the current name brings or takes away from that. Okay.
Oh, I need to see what it takes away.
Yeah.
What it brings.
Exactly.
Sure.
It's always fun to see that. Basically, in a nutshell, the way I look at it is that that our given name, our birth name, is the foundational energy, the mission that we came in to accomplish. What is so interesting is that, say, for instance, you're adopted, right? And you have, a name for a day, for a week, for a month, for whatever, or maybe you change it, when you're 2 years old, something like that. It just complicates or enriches, depending on how you look at it, your life experience. I find that a lot of times people with adoption, for instance, have identity issues, and that's part of what they're working with, right? So they're given that opportunity, so to speak, to do that. And yet on the more traditional realm, in terms of what you're talking about, is yes, absolutely. Our birth name is the foundation, never changes.
That's fascinating. Hold that thought for me.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about it when we come back on the other side of our break, but fascinating. Folks, it's Patty Conklin and Healing Within with my guest, Felicia Bender. We'll be right back.
Patty Conklin grew up in Brooktondale, New York, with a unique ability. Unlike others, she could see how the vibration of words and emotions affected the physical body. She discovered how to release stored emotion and facilitate healing. This began today's Conklin method of cellular cleansing. The private practice grew with tremendous results, as did her reputation. More and more people sought her out, bringing her into the home for healing. She soon realized she could even teach this to others, and they could shift perception and thus prevent illness from occurring. Patty Conklin quickly became a frequent keynote speaker, and she developed a curriculum for teaching the Conklin method of cellular cleansing. For more information, visit pattyconklin.com. PattiConklin, PattiConklin.com, or call 404-474-0086. That's 404-474-0086.
Mission Evolution is dedicated to the well-being of the planet and animals, as well as the evolution of humankind. One major factor threatening all three is increasing toxicity. Heavy metals and other environmental toxins are poisoning our bodies, deteriorating our brains, blocking our spiritual connection, and shortening our lives. Yet these poisons are extremely difficult to remove. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, and I recently became aware of a product created from the marriage of nature and nanotechnology called Vitality. It's formulated from zoolite, whose crystalline structure binds toxins, gently carrying them out of the body. The light is only as clear as the window through which it shines. Clear your body, shine your light into the world. Visit vitalityhappens.com for a 20% discount. Enter code PATHHOME.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Hi, everyone. It's Patti Conklin and Healing Within. Thank you so much for joining us today. My amazing guest is Felicia Bender, and we are talking about numerology today. And it's fascinating, and I guess it just kind of, in my mind, goes along with astrology. You know, it's like sometimes the data's right there, and sometimes it's not. But with numerology, it's fascinating to see the math, how it comes into play. And, basically somebody had to write up the origins of the number, right? I mean, they had to come up with different personality traits or different assumptions about a given number. Now, yes. I may be assuming way too much, but somebody originally had to do that. But before break, we were talking about adoption.
Yes.
And how that may or may not change the life path or the life number.
Yes, and it will not change your life path number, which we'll touch on a little bit later in the show. And yet it does touch on the overall complexity of your life experience and what you're working with. Because often, again, as I mentioned, I find that when I work with clients who have been adopted, there are some very deep-seated points of identity issues that come into play. Mm-hmm. And yet on a more traditional look at names, so we come in with our given name as it appears on that birth certificate. That is what we presuppose that our soul actually checked in for. I mean, you're a parent, Patti. How did you come up with the names for your kids? Did you just suddenly wake up one day and it was like, that's it?
Matthew I knew, but Dan, my firstborn, I will say that I had a totally different name picked out for him. Yeah. And about 2 weeks before he was born, I had a dream, and he spoke very clearly, and he said, "My name will be Daniel Thomas." And I'm like, really? And so I went to my then husband and said, he wants to be Daniel Thomas. He's like, we're not naming him Daniel Thomas. We've already come up with a name. And I'm like, no, he's Daniel Thomas. And but he had to tell me. Matthew, I knew right away. But
exactly.
Daniel was totally different. Yeah.
It's so fascinating. And even when we're not consciously connected with the dream like you are, because you're so highly intuitive that way, it does show up for us. And so numerologically, that is our imprint, that's our foundation. And yet when we change our name, or let's say you've been Patty Conklin for however many years now, it's kind of, I like to describe it, it's kind of like your given name is a teacup with warm water in it, and your new name is like a tea bag. So the longer that it steeps in that water, the stronger it gets.
I was going to say that tea bag's got to be weak by now.
Yeah.
After 40 years. And I honestly thought about this when I've been looking at changing my name and so forth to Patty Hollister Vandermark versus Patty Louise Vandermark, because I love my great grandmother so much, and she was a Hollister.
Oh.
And so I thought I'll go with Patty Hollister Vandermark. And I've been holding off because I'm like, is that the right thing to do? And it's not that numerology came into my mind. It's been one of those things of sitting with, of, is that what I want on my headstone?
Right.
Is that the name that I want there? And certainly, Conklin can be retired and go back to Vandermark. But I know that I'll put it this way. With one of my daughter-in-laws, her given name is not what we call her. We call her Kesh. Her parents call her Lauren. And I can see the energy shift go on when her parents are in the room and they're saying Lauren, blah, 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 where I'm saying Kesh, blah, 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 or one of the other family members are calling her Kesh because her parents are the only one who call her Lauren. And the energy does change between those two names. So how does that play out in the big picture when we're looking at numerology?
Well, in the bigger picture, of course, again, we're looking at the way in which things sound, and those things that with our name change, they can change. It's almost like, let's say like Elton John. Do you think he would have been Elton John if he would have gone out as Reginald Dwight? Right. It's just a sound, and it brings in, just like you observe, a different energy, a different energetic, entry point and surrounding. And so it sometimes, again, when we look at an entire chart, we can look at where your numbers are congruent and supportive of each other, and then where they might trigger and be a little more complex or complicated. Because a lot of people, as you know, Patty, that you work with so many people, a lot of people feel very pushed and pulled, very, weird about certain aspects. I'm kind of this way, but I'm kind of that. I don't know how to deal with that. So the numbers can give us a really great depth of information about what that actually is, and that some of these things are not some of them, all of these things aren't throwaway items. It's kind of like in our lives, we think, oh, that's just something that I don't know, I just got to get over it. And if you have the information, no, you're not supposed to get over it. This is the point of your life. This is your task at hand. And you're going to get the full spectrum, experience around this theme.
Got it. And so in the big picture, when people are having, let me put it this way. When I look at astrology, I say the astrology is only as good as the intuitive who's reading it. Mm-hmm. Does the same fall true for numerology, or is it more concise?
Oh, I think it's all an art and science with the emphasis on art and interpretation. Okay. Because it is a matter of interpretation. Some people go the doomsday route, right? Right. You got that everywhere. That is, to me, this is a sacred honor and a duty to do this wisely with integrity and only for positive reinforcement. I'm someone who is, I think the beauty of the numbers is that you can see the absolute shining potential to everyone. and just see where the blockages are, and and how that shows up in a person's life. And so that's the lovely thing for me. I love working with it because, again, I love being people's cheerleaders in many ways, and validation around certain things, and then to be able to go, ooh, let's pinpoint it here, and then we can come up with some ideas and tools to work with that more effectively and more productively. Turn that weakness into a strength, which is what we're all being asked to do when we have these challenges. It's being, we're really being asked to dig into it and really master that certain element of our life. I mean, if we look at your chart, Patty, you have a 5 life path, which you indicated before, and you've got a whole family of 5s, which I love. I love doing families because it's like we come in like little dolphin pods. We really are here together for a reason, like it or not. And yet the 5 is that freedom seeker, that sensuous freedom seeker. It's versatile. It's all about the experience, and so that's your life path. That's your life purpose. That's really your mission, your overall mission statement for your lifetime. And yet, if I look at your chart, you also have 2 instances. Your birthday is the 20th, which is a 2, and your expression number, also called the destiny number, and that's taken from your name, from your original name, is a 2. And the 2 is a very interesting element. And I would think that since you double up on that, you have a point of identity that might be a little more lodged in that than it is the 5. And the 2 is the intuitive, the peacekeeper, the lover, not the fighter. It's all about diplomacy, relationships, intuition. It's all about that very receptive, very supportive elements. And yet you have the 5, which is a bit more gregarious and out there. So I'm sure that there are points of identity that you have within that you can be a very introverted extrovert. I mean, is that?
I am a very introverted extrovert. I'm fine when I'm working, and when I'm not working, I'm very much the introvert. Stay at home and so forth. And certainly my treks around the world, and I'm actually going to the Holy Land in March for 3 weeks, which I can't wait to do. That's the first trek in that area of the world. But I think that for me, it has been the intuition, but really walking to my own beat and just doing my own thing, as outrageous as some people think it is, because there's an expectation in being an intuitive or a metaphysician or whatever that, we're very earthbound and so forth. And I'm about as flighty as you can get. I mean, if I decide I want to go somewhere, I'm going to go somewhere.
That is
and
so
just take off and just be me, and do it in an introvert way. It's not typically with other people. So when we come back, I'd really like to touch on that 2 and that 5, because what I'm noticing with the 2 older grandsons that are also 5s is I'm seeing very dominant personalities in each of them, going off in 2 different directions, and yet at the same time being simultaneous. So let's talk about that when we come back, because I know that I'm looking for how to help guide them as they move through this. So folks, when we come back, we're going to continue talking about the different numbers and personalities. And Felicia certainly nailed me on the 5s and the 2s. We'll take it from there. It's Patty Conklin, Healing Within, with my guest, Felicia Bender. We'll be back in just a minute. Thank you.
Audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035 extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
Join Patty Conklin and Healing Within Radio each week. More than entertainment, Healing Within offers educational, useful tools for everyday life. Listen for help overcoming fear, anxiety, and depression. Patty knows about eliminating cancer, MS, dementia, Parkinson's, and a host of illnesses that we face every day. Life can be good. Life is good. All you need are simple tools to start changing your life. Start right now by visiting pattyconklin.com, PATTICONKLIN. No matter where you are in the world, you can work with Patty through Skype, phone, or in person, visiting one of her retreats in Georgia. Visit pattyconklin.com today or call our offices at 404-474-0086. That's pattyconklin.com or call 404-474-0086.
Coming soon to the X-Zone Broadcast Network is A Different Perspective with me, Kevin Randall, as your host. We'll be taking a close look at what is happening in the world of UFOs today with side trips into the paranormal. Guests will range from those who are household names to those who have a different perspective on a variety of topics. No topic will be taboo, but there will be tough questions asked as we all search for the truth about UFOs, the paranormal, and those things that excite us. Sometimes we'll agree with a guest and sometimes we won't, but we'll try to keep the program topical. For those of you who would like to read, be sure to visit www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com and remember to listen to the other fine programs on the X-Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net.
Hi, everyone. It's Patty Conklin and Healing Within. Thank you so much for being a part of today's show and listening in. And I know Felicia is giving us all sorts of great information here on numerology because it's an art that a lot of people don't practice. It seems like astrology is much more out there than most people in doing numerology, or else I just go to you, Felicia, for numerology. But one of the things that I've noticed, and I'm pretty sure my granddaughter, the only girl in the family, is also a 5. Could be wrong. I should have sent this to you. What I'm noticing about the 3 of them, however, is I have one grandson, Kylan, who is 1st grade, and he's doing 3rd, 4th grade math. And he could just do it in his head. I mean, he's not counting on his fingers or anything, but before I turned 62, right before my birthday, and so he was 6, he looked at me and he's like, Oma, you're 50 or you're 61 and I'm 6. That means I've got to wait 55 years before I'm as old as you. And I'm just like, yeah, that's true. And so Matthew, the uncle, who's the math person, gave him an equation that he was just able to answer off the top of his head. Matt's like, he should not be able to do that at this age. Dan, who's the wordsmith and the uncle of Howard is a wordsmith. He's 1st grade. He's doing 4th grade reading, where most 1st graders are reading at 30, 40 words a minute. He reads 160 words a minute. And so he just flies. He can go through anything and good retention. So you've got one who's very strong in words, one who's very strong in math, but they're both pretty chickeny. They don't like adventure. They like to know exactly where things are. Where Sky Marie comes along, who just turned 5 last week, and she at 3 was ziplining, and at 4 went parasailing. And so, has gone wall climbing with me. She is this free spirit, sense of adventure. And that seems to be her niche, outside of the boys, is that she's willing to get in there and live the adventure. And where the boys are fine-tuned in their specific areas. What separates out? I mean, I think that they're all very good in leading and helping and so forth. But what separates out a 5 versus a 4 versus a 6? How do their life paths change according to the numbers that they're born with?
Absolutely. Well, this is great because I'll answer that question specifically, and then let's tell the listeners how to calculate their own life path number, and then
Awesome.
We'll go very, very briefly over the themes for each. And yet, I love your question, Patty, because this is the overall richness of numerology and all of this. So, all of these children all of these kids have a 5 life path. Okay.
Yes.
And yet they have other numbers in their chart that indicate their different influences. So, so we need to know that to put that together. And I'll talk about another one of yours in a minute as well that I think I'll be eager to hear what you think about it.
Okay.
And so the 5, so always think about this when we're working with numerology, we are talking about the optimal. What is the optimal? What is the biggest learning point, right? The point of its greatest expression. And that's what we'll talk about. And then always, because it's a lifetime adventure, right, that we're all on, we are going to get the full spectrum experience here that takes a lifetime. So what we've checked in to do is always going to be the most difficult thing for us to do on some level. And so what numerology can indicate to you is what you're here to do, and then what those challenge points are very specifically. And so for your grandsons, although they're both 5s, and the 5 is about fun, fearlessness, adventure, versatility, all of those things, always think about those are the optimal. So what is the opposite? You're always going to get the oppositional pull, and that will come in as either an overactive element to that or an underactive element to that.
Yeah.
So I find people with the 5 often have higher levels of fear, because on whatever level. And because they're being asked to, like Joseph Campbell says, walk into the door that holds your greatest fear is the one you need to walk in.
Right.
And for it can, it applies to all of us humans. And yet, if you have a 5 life path, that is a very specific theme that you will be presented with over and over and over in your life as you master that. So in answer to your question, these boys are struggling with that fearlessness that they checked into experience and to master. And so that's what can answer that question. And the beauty of it is to go, so now how do I encourage them?
Right.
How do I help them step on and stay on this path, or just support them
and
on
have
that?
the adventure? Sure.
Yeah. And the beauty of it is to get them a bit out of their comfort zone, to support them in those small baby steps where you can identify a fear and say, hey, what do you find so scary about that?
Right.
And they'll go, and you can go, what would happen if that happened? You can walk them through that. Or alternately, I find that some 5s are very scattered, very, very, very reckless or impulsive.
Yeah.
And so in that way, they need to be reined in, not in a negative way at all, given that container to do that, to express that freedom-seeking nature that they have.
Yes.
And yet allow them to, or encourage them to hone tools where they can make it productive.
Right.
So it's like some of those kids, it's like some of the, the 5 life path who's like, I'm not going to bed until 3 a.m. It's like, no, we're going to get you on, they need some light routine. They need some discipline in that area, because it actually is very, very, very useful for them to have that structure, because 5 is basically freedom through self-discipline. Mm-hmm. It is the constructive use of freedom. And to support them in that is a huge gift, to allow them to really, really blossom in their 5-ness.
Well, I've been pushing the idea of my taking them to Romania so we can run up the back steps of Vlad's castle, which I always find so fascinating to walk up through those. And my daughter-in-laws haven't quite come on board yet, but I think it would be an exciting adventure to take them there and go through that. But it really is interesting in how the perception and perspectives are in terms of our life path, and whether it's a 5 or a 2, bringing in the intuitive and so forth, and the balance that's necessary, I guess, in all of those numbers. Is there a number in numerology that is more challenging for people, or does it not? Everyone's their own individual, so it's not specifically challenged for the overall populace.
Well, yes, great question as well. I think that all the numbers, again, there's no errors. Everyone comes to me, it's like, oh, is my number bad? It's like,
right.
No, there's no bad number, okay? And yet there are some numbers that offer more intensity. These are called master numbers. They are the 11, the 22, and the 33. So so if you get that number before you reduce it down to a 2, 4, or 6, it just offers some additional volume to it. And yet overall, it really is a matter of how we commit to our personal growth, right, in this lifetime. But let's real quick before we break, can we go through the calculation so people can do this as well? So in order to calculate your life path number, very simple, okay? So if you're out there, get out your pen. Not if you're driving. So anyway, please wait
and re-listen.
Yes, please wait.
Yeah.
Let's use June 18th, 1990 as just an example. If this were your birth date, you would take June, which is the 6th month of the year, so that is a 6. So you just write down 6. The 18th is 18, and so we're always reducing to a 1-digit number, pretty much in numerology, except for those some instances where it can offer us additional information. And yet we're always reducing to the numbers 1 through 9. So 18 is 1 plus 8, and that does equal 9. Okay, then we have 1990. You just add that together. 1 plus 9 plus 9 plus 0, that equals 19. You keep reducing. So you go 1 plus 9 equals 10, and this gets a little tricky, even though it doesn't seem like it right now. It's like, well, I got a 10. You keep reducing again. So 1 plus 0 equals 1. So then you take all those 3 numbers, add those together. So that's 6 plus 9 plus 1, that equals 16. And then we take 16, 1 plus 6 equals 7. So if this were your birthday, you would have a 7 life path.
Got it. It does seem reasonable. And on the other side, we'll figure out what to do with that when you figure out your life path from your birth. So folks, you're joining Patty Conklin in Healing Within, and my guest, Felicia Bender. And as always, she's fascinating. So we'll be right back and look forward to more.
If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide. They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Ellie Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, the 70-year cover-up exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Memorable dynamic presentations are a not-so-secret weapon in the business world. Do you have a powerful message that must be shared, but you haven't found a way to deliver that message? Do you want to be known as a top public speaker who gets amazing results? Are you ready to create and deliver your powerful message? Thomas Hides can help you create and deliver your speech to get the results you desire. Visit iconquality.com.
Did you expect your business to flourish, but instead it plateaued or didn't get off the ground yet? Would you like to achieve massive goals and discover new sources of income within your business? When you're ready to experience that type of success with fast results, Cindy Hendricks is the business coach for you. Her work with entrepreneurs and business owners has been life-changing. To get you and your business where you want to be, go to imaginemoresuccess.com.
Has the fear of public speaking stalled your business or personal life? What would you give to develop and maintain supreme confidence? Have an invaluable private program to always perform at your best. Imagine how you would feel. You can have all that and so much more today with Thomas Hides' life-changing course called Number One Fear Unleashed. Visit numberonefear.com and be liberated from your fear of public speaking.
Hi, everyone. It's Patty Conklin and Healing Within. Thank you so much for being a part of today's show. And as always, I learned so much from Felicia Bender and numerology. It's one of those fascinating things. You know, we can look at intuition and say, wow, that's an intuitive person. And we can look at numerology in the same vein. I think it's fascinating. Whoever made up the descriptions way long, is that known in real world who actually created the personality traits for the numbers?
Well, the Pythagoras, the Greek mathematician, scientist, all of that, mystic, he is the one who I draw upon. Many people do. And yet there are numerologies. There's Vedic numerology, Chinese astrology. They're all different kinds. So I'm, what I use comes from Pythagoras, and it's what he laid down all of the defining qualities, all of the calculations to get to what you get to with a chart. So that's what I rely on. Yeah.
I know. I will say that one of my grandsons, and I won't tell you which one, folks, but one of my grandsons had a Vedic numerology done, and was told, his parents were told that while I was a great intuitive, I was nothing compared to what he'll end up being as an adult. So you're just going to have to wait around, folks, 20 years or so and see which child it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
But go ahead. I know you wanted to dive into my chart or say one more thing about
absolutely.
About my chart.
I think that, before we get to that, let's give people just a basic brush stroke if they did their life path number and wonder what does this mean? So if you have yours in front of you, and I'm sure you'll do, people in your life, which is always fun to go, oh, that's why. So if you are a one life path, you are the innovative leader. The one is all about number one, learning about independence and initiation, very entrepreneurial, very creative, learning all about tapping into self-esteem and really marching to a beat of a different drum for the one. And if you're a two, you're the heart and the soul of every enterprise. You're the diplomat. The two is all about love and family and patience. I'm sure that you love that part, Patty, about yours.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone loves that. But the mediator, and so it's relationship driven and also highly emotional, so much so that twos don't even know how emotionally they're like emotional sponges. And part of the life's purpose of the two is learning how to really secure strong emotional boundaries and not be such a pleaser and a shapeshifter around others. The three is the creative communicator. It's the three is the number of joy, optimism, here to be creative, to tap into that on all levels, and to communicate. So their thing is all about creative communication, and yet again, remember that we also have the opposition, so they can kind of struggle with emotional ups and downs, and kind of leaning into that. They often have kind of traumatic circumstances in life that allow them to get into their emotional acuity. The four is the systems builder, the teacher, and it's that solid, steady, no nonsense, very pragmatic systems building person. They're very down to earth, very much about results, getting things done. And the five, we talked about that sensuous freedom seeker, fun, fearlessness, adventure, all about that versatile change. The grass does not grow under the feet of a three. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, a five.
A four. Yeah.
And the six is the nurturing visionary. It's about love and duty, home, family, the domestic life. It's also that does not have to be in the traditional sense, please understand. And it's also really learning all about responsibility. These people have more responsibility thrust upon them usually, and they're learning how to kind of modulate their idealism in the world and attempt to kind of understand the perfection of the imperfection of all things, including themselves. The seven is the analyst, the data-driven person, and also the often reluctant spiritualist. These are kind of like people who are on the Big Bang Theory. They are the brainiacs, and yet they're also highly intuitive. They're learning about trust, openness. They're really on an internal journey this time around, honestly. And the 8 is the money number. If anyone knows anything about numerology, they're like, ooh, the 8, ka-ching, money number. Well, it's a bit more than that. It's like that CEO. It's the material manifester, learning all about money, power, control, authority. These people often have authority issues, often have a very love-hate relationship with money, more so than usual, and they're meant to kind of step up or get stepped on. So they're gonna have a pretty intense life. The 8 is an amplifier and a tester. It's a testing number. And then the 9 is the charismatic and creative humanitarian. These people are the old souls who've kind of come back around. They're here to kind of step into their integrity. They're very quirky, very creative. Prince, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, no pressure to any of you, Knights out there. But very, and Elvis Presley, who was also very into numerology, was a 9. So it's that very creative, very quirky, but very here to serve on some level, serve from their heart, serve humanity, do something that is really going to help others. They're givers, by and large. Yeah. So those are the basic components of the numbers. Does that make sense at all?
Total sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so interestingly for you, Patty, your soul urge number, which is taken from the vowels in your name, and that is what you really want and need deep down, your heart's desire. And for that, yours is a karmic debt number. Now, in numerology, we all believe, I believe that you work with past lives very intimately in your work. And so this is basically a tool that can offer, if it resonates with you, pinpoint an area where you're paying back karmic debt. It doesn't mean you're bad. It doesn't mean you're being punished. It just means that you're paying back a particular debt. So yours is a 4. It's the 13 indicates that karmic debt. We won't go into that, but basically what interests me about it for you, Patty, is I'll ask you, because the soul or the 4 is that solid, steady, results-driven, really responsible, and yet it indicates that with this karmic debt number, that in a past manifestation, you abused that. You were kind of irresponsible, didn't take responsibility with that, and also the 3 is the debt range here, or the indicator, and that's that you also had levels of negative communication. You would cut people down with words, and you would, in that way. So what I find lovely and informative about this tool is you're also in a period of time from the age of 49 onward that is a number 3 pinnacle cycle. It's kind of the direction you've been going toward. And that is, that you're doing a radio show is absolutely in alignment with this. It's about positive self-expression. It's about helping, inspiring, motivating. It's about impeccable communication. And so during this period of time, you're being drawn toward that area and that arena, and really being asked by the universe and by your blueprint to engage in that. And you've been listening, because this is, did you feel a shift? I don't know if you can remember at 49, it's like pulling something out of the air, but sometimes we can reflect back and go, oh yeah, I don't know what when it came over me, but I suddenly just felt like I had to write this book, or I had to, do this other expressive tool that I had never really done before. Right. Is that something you might have felt?
Yeah, I think that 42 to 49 were kind of getting my feet wet. I've always been a communicator in this lifetime, even prior to starting this company. Communication has always been very important to me, and to be precise and to be as uplifting as I can. But I think that moving into the 49 range, moving into the 50s, became much more about reaching as many people as I could. Not to be famous, that's never been a goal, but to reach as many people as I could in the best forum that I could. And so that has been certainly the last 10, 12 years of doing that. And, some of it for me now is being able to stay home and still reach people through radio shows and so forth, webinars and holding retreats at the house, and just being able to still reach people without having to travel the world to do it. So definitely changing my forum in terms of communication.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what I love about it, because this soul urge number is something that you have carried lifelong. And so the interesting dichotomy and duality here that is super powerful and yet can also be a point of tension is that your 5 is like you've observed. It's like you want to travel, you want to do all this stuff. It's very frenetic. And yet the 4 demands that you do so with in a productive way, that yes. you are grounded and you're responsible, and that you do. And so the beauty of it is that that's actually, even though they speak different languages, the 5 is like, don't fence me in, don't tell me what to do, none of that.
Right.
And the 4 is like, nope, here's our fence and we love it and we're going to stay here, And so there's that point of conflict. And yet what I love about hearing you talk about your feelings and your actions around that is that you're being able to optimize both. At this point.
We are definitely coming into a 4, leaving the 5 or reducing the 5 to a 4, and I've got to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining me, Felicia, and
thank you.
And folks, thanks for listening. This is Patty Conklin and Healing Within. We'll catch you next time.